there was cutbacks on people's contracts and stuff like that. Did you feel threatened at any time?
No, not really. And there was what happened. Of course, there was a transition with me in there when all of that was happening, and many know the story because it was written up in the wrestling magazines. I had a wife that died of cancer, and so I walked away from the business to take care of my wife. There are many different opinions on that. Some thought I should have been loyal to the wrestling business, and why wasn't wrestling first? And so there's opinions both ways. But I just felt in my heart that family was first, and I needed to take care of a dying wife. And so that was all in that same transition when Turner was starting to buy it, the company. And I went to the corporate guys and I explained to them the situation. Said, I'm not saying I won't ever be back, but this is something that I have to do. And so, you could tell the face of it was going to change though when it went from a mom and pop company to now corporate America stepping in to own it. Right.
Before that time, Jim Crockett bought some of the UWF. Well, Bill Watts basically sold his promotion over to Jim Crockett. When those guys came in, I've asked a lot of guys this. Do you think Crockett missed a boat as far as doing an inter-promotional angle with the UWF guys? Instead, he basically buried a lot of the guys.
Yeah, and I don't know. Of course, I can't speak for Jim and knowing what his thinking was there. And I always said I didn't know why he was buying it to begin with. Like Vince would go into a territory and start running shows. I thought, why shell out the money to buy it? I mean, I guess he just felt it was the right thing to do, just like he did the same thing in St. Louis with that market. He purchased the territory. And in one sense, I respect him for doing that. I think he had respect for the old promoters who used to own those, like Bill Watts and the guys who used to own the territories. Why he did that, I don't know if that was just Jim's way of saying, look, I'm running the show here or what.
Right. What are your memories of your matches with Terry Taylor? I guess he was one of the first guys that you worked the program with when those guys came over.
Yeah, we had some great matches together. I enjoyed working with Terry. One of the most memorable that a lot of people still talk about now, and even when I go out and I speak in different venues, I still have actually the old UWF World Television title belt where we had the unification match in Chicago for Starrcade '87, and it's interesting how that belt comes back into play years later. And I joke with people, I say, they never asked for it back, so I kept it. And but we had some really great matches together, and Terry was a great worker. And again, all these guys that I wrestled were tremendous in helping build my career, because without them, Nikita Koloff wouldn't have had the career he had.
Right. A lot of people knock Lex Luger as far as a worker. They say, he might be in the business just to make money off the business. He's not a true student of the game, so to speak. What are your views on Lex Luger as far as a worker, and what are your memories of your matches with him at Starrcade?
First thing I think about Lex, I think about that thumb. Lex, I still to this day can't figure out.
Actually, it was the bash.
The bash. I still to this day can't figure out when you throw a punch with that, why you can't pull that thumb in, Lex. I never figured that one out, man. What the deal is there. I had a great relationship with Lex. Up and down the road together, him and I. I was probably one of the few who had a great relationship with Lex. I don't know. But I did have a great relationship with Lex. Enjoyed traveling with him. Similar lifestyles, eat the same foods, same type of workout, type of thing, taking care of our bodies. And whether I was wrestling against him or wrestling with him, we worked well together, had a great professional attitude towards each other. And so I felt we worked real well together in the ring. As far as Lex's attitude, again, there's going to be varied opinions. Someone said on a radio call-in that it sounded like they were saying about me that, well, I was only in it for the money because I was sharing with them. I retired at the age of 33 because I set a goal. I set a goal when I broke into the wrestling business that I would be retired by the time I was 35. I would walk away on top of the game, leaving people wanting more than saying, when is Nikita going to hang it up? And I quickly share with them, look, not unlike any other business venture that somebody may get into, hopefully you set goals, and if you start a business, you don't start it to lose money, you start it to make money. And so whatever you do, wrestling, you're in the business to make money. some have a greater passion for the business than others. I look back on the wrestling business and I feel totally blessed and honored and flattered that I had the opportunity. I think when it's all said and done, Lex would probably say the same thing at some point in time. He would look back on it and would be grateful that he had the opportunity to wrestle.
Since we're talking about the longevity of careers and stuff like that, are you surprised about Ric Flair's run in the business? I mean, do you think that he's just hanging on, or do you think that Ric Flair should have retired a long time ago and save his name?
Well, I'll address both two things. One, no, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised with Rick. I have the utmost respect for Rick. Rick, I'll go on record saying too, was tremendously. I've got a lot of people to give credit to for the career of Nikita Koloff. Rick is certainly one of them. Was instrumental in making me who I was, and always respected Rick for his psychology of the business, for his professionalism, his love for the business, his passion for the business. It doesn't surprise me a bit. And as I come to know some of the other old timers in the business, Mr. Wrestling Tim Woods and Abe Jacobs and Swede Hansen, playing a lot of charity golf tournaments, celebrity golf tournaments with these guys now, and getting to know some of those guys, Rene Goulet. It really wasn't uncommon in the old days, in the old school, for these guys to wrestle into their 40s, 50s. I mean, Lou Thesz wrestled in 7 decades. 7 decades. Now, the difference, though, that I see with Lou Thesz and Rick is Lou preserved his career by, even though he wrestled in 7 decades, he was champion. He was treated as a champion. He wasn't beat by every Tom, Dick, and Harry, if you will. That's the only thing I would say with Rick, and Rick's just doing what he feels he needs to do, I guess, would have been to perhaps consider, how do I bow out of this gracefully?
And I guess at the time you also brought in Vladimir Pietrov.
Yeah, to eliminate the traitor Nikita Koloff, who turned down the motherland. How could you do this to me, Nikita? You turned down the motherland. How could you do this? I was such a wonderful guy. He is, and I think back to some of those matches. We didn't have a tremendous amount of. Ric Flair I had hundreds of matches against. Ivan I had a handful of matches against. But again, being the great worker he is, I just followed his lead, man. I just whatever he said to do, it was, yes, sir. I'll be glad to do it. And just, wanted to go out of my way to, because he had such a phenomenal career in the wrestling business. I just wanted to go out of my way to, heighten that in any way I could myself. So there isn't any one particular match or anything that sticks out with my matches with Ivan. Just the overall picture. It was.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.